Hello, good afternoon, sir. Shall we start the meeting? Jojipur, sir. Shall we start, sir?
Oh, ma'am, wait for a few more minutes. We have 2 more minutes remaining, right? We'll start afterwards.
Okay.
Yes, madam, it is 2 o'clock. Shall we start then? You're not audible.
Shall we start, sir?
Yeah, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. I would like to welcome Jojipur, sir, for the welcome speech.
Respected resource person for the session, Mrs. Sheila Thomas, host and teachers who have joined from various schools. Good afternoon to you all. Confederation of Kerala Sahodaya School Complexes. Organize a series of training programs, subject specific training programs for the teachers. And this is one of that kind, and it is secondary physics teachers training program. When a new policy or a special scheme of assessment was initiated by the CBSE, it was a big concern for the educators across the country in CBSE syllabus, because it was the first time we get a different assessment strategy, that too when we are online, right? So just a few months, few days back, when such an announcement was made by the board, a lot of confusions and anxieties were there for the educators across. It was only because the first term examination would be conducted with equal weightage. And one more, the first term examination would be multiple choice, MCQs. Children in the past used to write multiple choice examinations very easily, but those were not part of the public examination. Even in the public examination, a couple of questions were asked, but that was not very difficult for them to answer. Direct lifting, content-based, concept-based questions were answered very easily by the children. But this time, case-based questions, assertion reasoning type questions would also come. CBSE has already followed what was suggested by the national education, recommended by the national education policy, that case-based or competency-based questions should be added. So CBSE says every year 10% of these kind of questions will be added till it reaches 60%. By 2025, 60% of the questions that the students get in public examinations would be case-based. So here is the scenario for us to have some introspection, some polishing works, some strategies to prepare our students for the first examination. Since this is the first time, we all are on wheels to make it possible for our children, an easy examination. So this training is also organized for the purpose of helping the teachers to prepare for the examination, helping the teachers to prepare their children for the examination. So anyway, I'm very happy that we have 40 plus physics teachers attending this specific program. It's not just a science session together. This is organized separately for the physics, chemistry, biology, and all. And some of you are have been attending these kind of sessions, maybe in the senior secondary as well. So 18 such sessions have been organized by the Confederation of Kerala Sahodiyas. So on behalf of Confederation, on behalf of the host of the day, Mr. A.P. Ashraf, who is unable to join due to schedule, he's been into hospital for attending his father. So I do welcome all the people, all the educators, all the teachers who have joined from various schools. And I'm very happy to welcome our resource person, Mrs. Sheila Thomas. She is the TGT of Devamada CMI Public School, Thrissur. And she is the coordinator of the secondary section. And she has 19 years of experience in the field. And she has a lot of achievement. And the greatest of that achievements is the CBSE award. She is the recipient of CBSE National Award, the prestigious award. And she won that award in the year 2018. And she's the resource person for the CBSE. She's the resource person for the Thrissur Sahodaya for the past 5 years. So on behalf of everyone who have gathered here, may I welcome Mrs. Sheila Thomas and all the educators. Thank you very much. Ma'am, over to you.
Thank you so much. Okay, let us start our session with a prayer. Satyamai, Shuddha Snehamaai, Divya Jnanamaai, Varum Devame, Nityavum Nin Kripa Kadachangal, Egane Njangalkipozhum, Parilalambahinarayore Sevippan, Shakti Nalganam, Satya Dharmadi Sadgunangala, Jeevidam Dhanyamakanam. Buddhanum Mahavishnuvum, Yeshu Christuvum, Nebi Allahum, Yellamegamadenna Vedandam, Njangalil Diptamakanam. Satyamai, Shuddha Snehamaai, Divya Jnanamaai, Varum Devame, Nityavum Nin Kripa Kadachangal, Egane Njangalkipozhum, Egane Njangalkipozhum, Egane Njangalkipozhum. Sheila ma'am, shall we start?
Yes, thank you very much. Let me first and foremost express my thanks to Joji Paul sir. Actually, I am a great fan of Joji sir. He's come to our school and he's come online and he's taken a class for our teachers, and I was one of the participants. And I thoroughly enjoyed the class, the vibrant class. So it is, I'm actually full of gratitude that such a great personality has introduced me. So thank you very much, sir, for all those wonderful words. And once again, I'm so happy to see such a large gathering of the physics teachers. So that itself, we are just co-teachers. We are the fraternity of physics teachers. And we are here at this moment because of various concerns. We want to do something better for our children. We are doing the best we can, but I'm sure all of us want to ensure that we do better than our best. And that is why at this time, at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, we are around 50 of us gathered here to ensure that we gain a little bit more than what we know. So the gathering is a small gathering, and yet I'm happy that now interact with me, and we shall learn together. Okay, so the whole time, anytime that you want to add in something more, or you have something more to add to that particular topic, you are free to take up, to interrupt and say. I take it that all of y'all will be with me during this class. So let me just begin this class. I am going to share my screen. I hope my screen is visible.
Yes, ma'am. It is visible.
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you very much. So today, the learning outcomes that we are going to have, or at the end of the session, what you will be able to achieve. And that will be of course, you already know. So this is just a recall of the rationalized syllabus for the year to 2021 to 2022, to find out what are the changes in the curriculum. And the main thing, to construct an MCQ question, and to ensure that we are able to classify the various types of MCQ questions. And the next one is to produce a case-based question. And the last, to express changes in the internal assessment. So this is what will be the learning outcomes. I'm sure all of y'all will achieve these outcomes at the end of the session. Now, to begin with, we have some of the important circulars that was released by the CBSE. We had the complete syllabus in the beginning of on March 31st, and then we had a few more, and on July 24th, we had the term-wise, the syllabus was released by the CBSE. The general guidelines for this year. See, I'm sure teachers, all of y'all know all this, but we are cross-checking or ticking with whatever we know. Okay, then that will be the best. So our academic session has been divided into 2 terms, approximately 50% of the syllabus in each term. So there is term 1 and term 2. Term 1 is MCQ based questions of 90 marks duration. Term 2, 120 minutes paper with questions of different formats. Actually, that has not yet been decided. We are still according to the situation. Then the syllabus for the board exam has been rationalized. So there have been changes from the complete syllabus. There have been some changes for the year. And there have been guidelines also to make the internal assessments more credible. Now, going on to it, we'll just glimpse about what is the term 1 syllabus. Now, this is directly taken from the CBSE site. So all these are what we have. I'm sure all of you all have finished your portions. So this is just a slight revision of what we have done. Okay. Now, term 2, we have the effects of current and the magnetic effects, and some portions have been deleted here also. But one thing I would like to tell is, so if you notice here, you will find that we start with Ohm's law. But even though we start with certain, the topic Ohm's law, we have to teach the concept of maybe of current, charge, current, potential difference. Only then we can go on to Ohm's law. So maybe some of the topics have been deleted. It will not be asked in the exam. From the examination point of view, it won't be there. But from when you're talking about the students, from the students' point of view, we are supposed to be teaching these topics so that it will be, they will be able to understand the other topics. Okay. So these are some of the syllabus for term 2. Now, practicals. Practicals for the term 1, we have the focal length of concave convex. Then we have the glass slab experiment and the prism experiment. So these are the main experiments, the 3 main experiments that we have in term 2. Sorry, term 1. And in term 1, the term 2 portion, we have only the Ohm's law experiment we have. Now, if you will notice, I have put a diagram, a picture of wherein the theory and practice. Now, both together should be intertwined, then only we have learning taking place. So, as science teachers, we should ensure that our practicals and theory go hand in hand. They cannot be 2 separate entities. Okay? Children should be taught, given the practicals along with the theory. Of course, you must be thinking now in this situation, what can be done? And there are so many ways we can overcome it. We might not be able to do a hands-on practicals, but yet we can have so many ways wherein we can ensure that the practical aspect of our teaching is not left behind. So please ensure that whatever we do, see, now these are some of the practicals which have been prescribed by the CBSE. But let me say that there are so many instances of topics which we can give them or make them do a practicals from their house, sitting in their homes. So that should be the way we teach. It should not be that we are just saying some things, but it has no relation with with what they know. So make sure that whatever we teach are the practicals and the theory. They should be combined, then only learning will take place. Now, the NEP 2020 has been a great shift in terms of education. Now, here we are shifting from rote learning to competency-based education. And the primary focus of assessment is for learning. We are doing all assessments. Primary focus of assessment. And the assessments, we are transforming the assessment to focus on the core competencies, that is the higher order thinking skills. And which are the higher order thinking skills? We have analysis, critical thinking, conceptual clarity. Now that is what the NEP 2020 has said. And we already know that rote learning, we are in that earlier, the way when we used to teach, or we have learned in our, when we were young, okay? We have learned things, we learned just for the exams. And the moment the exams got over, we forgot. Now the NEP has come in that we shift from the rote learning concept. So we are going on to a different way where the child is going to learn not just for the exams, but he is learning for life. We already know that just rote learning or you prepare for the examination, that is not going to be a learning which will last for a long time. They will forget as easily as they have learned the concept. So this is why we need to shift. And the CBSE has taken a lot of pains to ensure that even before the NEP was formally published, the CBSE has gone in for competency-based education and has introduced the topic of competency-based education and has ensured that we are familiar with these terms. Okay, so that is what we are saying, that the core competencies will be tested for this term. And the MCQs will all be clear, unambiguous item, and there will be plausible distractors, high quality and relevant stimulus, and items devoid of bias. Okay, and we already know that the term 1 and term 2 examinations together will make up 80 marks, and 20 marks weightage will be for the internal assessment. Now, I have just put in a slide here just to see how many of y'all know what is competency-based education. You all know a little bit of competency-based education. Okay. Is it possible that you just join in with this, if you can just join in at www.slido.com and enter this code. Teachers, are you with me?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Can you just join in? And tell me what you think is competency-based education. Are you all able to join? In Google Chrome, you can just take up slido.com and type in that code. Is it not possible? I cannot see anyone joining it. Yes, I saw one person. Very good. What about the others? Yes. Oh, you can just tell me what you feel is competency based. someone has told me ability to judge on their skill. Okay, their skill. Okay, learning with practical skills. Okay, positive learning. Okay, good. We'll wait for another two, this thing. Learning by doing. Okay.
Madam, it is not possible to join it.
Okay, okay, okay. Okay, learning with trying to meet different learning abilities. Okay. Learning to master their skill. Experiential learning. Okay, good. The physics teachers are warming up. Okay. So fine, we'll maybe for the next one, we can have more people to put in their views. So let's see what is exactly competency-based education. Okay, now this is what is competency. When we are talking about the competency-based education, it means that we are trying to ensure that there are there is differentiated and timely support, meaningful positive assessment, personalized learning, okay, advancement upon mastery. Now here, these two, maybe you can just look at it. What do you mean by personalized learning? Okay, we are ensuring that the child progresses upon attaining the learning outcomes. Once they are demonstrating the learning outcomes, they will advance to the next. Every child, you already know, especially when it is physics, every child does not learn at the same pace. So there are differences in their learning, and we automatically start leaving, and some of these children get left behind. Okay, so in that race over there, they are not able to cope up with the bright ones. But that is not what we are saying. We are going to ensure that we are going to give them timely support, depending upon the need of the child. And we ensure that they are able to demonstrate the learning outcomes and then move on. So this is what we say is competency-based learning. Now, when we are talking about competency-based education, some of these topics are relevant to life and employment. Now, early education was always very different from life. It was never related to life. So when children came out from the education system, they were completely at loss to find out how they can apply the knowledge that they gained in school or in their education system to real life. So now this competency-based education is going to bridge that gap between life, employment, and the education. And how are they going to do it? They are going to have higher order thinking skills. Okay? And whatever competency skills that they are going to acquire during their education, they are going to use it to solve real life problems. Okay? And all this competency-based education is focusing or integrates the 21st century skills, that is communication, is one of those 21st century skills. Then critical thinking, all these are the 21st century skills. And we are going to make the learner competent with respect to employability. Okay, now if you can understand from here itself, if you have seen the question papers and the sample papers, you will now understand that now why are the questions framed in that manner. Okay, Now, that is the reason why we are going to link whatever we are teaching to life. Then only what they are learning will be relevant to the students. Otherwise, they will just learn it and forget it. Okay? If we are going to relate it with life, then that learning will remain in their minds. Now, this competency-based education is basically built up on our Bloom's taxonomy. So we have got the different levels of the Bloom's taxonomy. We have got the basic levels. We have remembering, we have understanding, okay, then applying, and the higher order skills is analyzing, evaluating, and creating. So all this, the competency-based education is founded on the Bloom's taxonomy. Okay, so all the questions that we are going to frame will be based on these different levels. Okay, so with this, we go on. Now, the assessment framework. The assessment framework has got over here the three main cognitive domains. We have the knowing, that is the remembering and understanding. Then we have the applying and the reasoning. Okay, that is the higher order of the Bloom's taxonomy. And when we are talking about knowing, the objectives will be just demonstrate knowledge of scientific facts. Okay, they know what is Joule's law of heating. Okay, they know what is Snell's law. So these are some laws, procedures, and all they know. Okay, and the thinking processes that is associated with the knowing domain is recall, describe, provide examples, identifies, lists. A slightly higher up in the Bloom's taxonomy will be the applying and applying. There, we are going to demonstrate knowledge of scientific facts, laws, procedures, ideas to real life and classroom situations. Okay, so the child has learned about mirrors. Okay, he has learned about a convex mirror, and then he understands that the mirror that is placed on the where there is a sharp turn of the road, that is a convex mirror. And what is the importance of the convex mirror kept over there? Okay, so he's applying what he's learned to a real life situation. So that is where the applying domain comes in. And the thinking processes will be compare, contrast, classify, relate, use models, interpret, explain. Now, higher up the thinking level, the Bloom's taxonomy, we have analyze and evaluate. Okay, so the child will be able to analyze, he's going to evaluate. The ideas, and he's going to bring it. And what are the thinking processes? We have the analyze, synthesize, formulate, hypothesis. Okay, so these are some of the assessment framework that we have got, and we should be knowing these terms so that we can apply it when we are going to frame our questions. Now, whenever we are talking about the Bloom's taxonomy, okay, and we are talking about the assessment framework, all these, the competencies that we are going to find out, they are basically based on the learning objectives. Okay, so I've just taken up a few of the objectives. So from the refraction, the light chapter, we have refraction through the glass slab. So the objective will be demonstrate the path of light when it travels through a rectangular glass slab. Okay, now based on this, we are going to formulate the competencies. Okay, so what has the child gained from that objective? Okay, the human eye, we are examining the path of light rays through a prism. and identify various rays and angles formed. In magnetic effects, the objective is to draw magnetic field lines for a bar magnet. Okay, and in electricity, we are going to determine work done in moving a charge from one point of the conductor to another to calculate potential difference. So all Bloom's taxonomy is basically based on these learning objectives, and our questions will be framed on these learning objectives themselves. Now let us come to our MCQ based questions. This, we all know that our MCQs will have 4 options. There are no negative markings, but there are choices, options. Choices are there, but it is within the section. Okay, and evaluation will take place for the first attempted number of questions. For example, in the science paper, we have 3 sections. We have section A, B, and C. In section A, we have 24 questions are there, and out of the 24 questions, the child has to answer only 20 questions. So here, the child should be made aware that there is no use of attempting the 24 questions. He might be knowing all 24, or he feels he knows the 24 questions. So he will just attempt all the 24. But evaluation will take place only for the first 20 questions. So now we should make our students aware that do not attempt all the questions. Attempt only the ones that they are 100% sure, and spend more time on those questions and ensure that the answer is correct, instead of doing more number of questions and getting it wrong. Please remember, it is the first 20 questions in section A that will be evaluated, not the best 20 questions. That should be made, that should be told to the students again and again. Okay, it is not the best 20, but the first 20 questions that will be evaluated. Now, when we come to an MCQ question, we are going to learn how to create it. Now, an MCQ question has got some parts. The problem itself is known as the stem. Okay, the problem is known as the stem. And the options that we are going to give, these are known as the alternatives. The alternative, which is the correct or the best alternative, is the answer, and or we can call that as the key, and all the others which are not incorrect or inferior alternatives, they are known as distractors. Okay, so we have stem, the problem, the options are the alternatives, the correct or the best alternative is the key, and the incorrect ones are the distractors. Now, here we have given an example. Okay, you can just read it. Rekha placed a juice bottle at a distance of 10 centimeter in front of a concave mirror of focal length 25 centimeter. Where is the image likely to form? Okay, so here the image is going to form. We all know that since the object is placed between P and F, the image will be a virtual image. It will be an erect image. Okay, and it is going to be formed. It's a mirror, so behind the mirror. So the option is the C is the correct option, and that is the key. And the other options are known as the distractors. Now, when we are talking about the stem, A few points that we should keep in mind. First thing is use familiar language. We need not go in for great language in the question. The language should be something which the child is able to understand. The next is verbal association clues from the stem. There should be no verbal association clues from the stem in the answer. For example, you should not be ending the question with is. Okay, is. So the child knows, okay, this is singular. So the answer should be singular. So those sort of clues should not be there in the question, in the stem. Negative wordings should be avoided. So if you are saying not, okay, which is not the correct statement. So that not, those are negative wordings. The negative wordings should be, as much as possible, we should avoid it. Because first and foremost, children, when they are sitting for the exams, they are under a lot of stress. So they might not notice the negative wordings. Okay, and that is why we should automatically avoid it. Now, if it is absolutely necessary that there is no way we have to use the negative, then we are going to emphasize that not the negative words. Put it in capital letters, or you can bold it or even underline it. Okay, now these words, these things will ensure that not is clearly visible to the child, and he does not overlook that word over there. Then excessive wordings and irrelevant information should be avoided from the stem. Okay, in the stem, try not giving something which is very long, which is going to just confuse the child, but we can ensure that the problem or the stem is a little bit more precise. Now, this is not going to be the case for case study questions. Okay, so case study, we will have some words. Now, here I've given an example. Which of the following will not produce a real image at all? Okay, so that word not, I have ensured that it is bold and it is capital letters, so that child will not overlook it and he sees it and he's able to find out which is the correct answer. Okay, so in this, of course, we all know what is which will not produce a real image. The which will not produce will be a convex mirror and a concave lens. Okay, so these will not produce a real image at all. Now, we talked about how to, what are the rules that we should follow while constructing the stem, the question. Now, when we are writing the alternatives or the options, we have going to ensure a few points. First, make sure that there is only one best answer. Okay, one best answer. Now, this is something that we should be telling our students. Okay, it's not only for us, for the teachers, but for the students. Tell them to pick out the option which is the best. Okay, I'm saying the best. It need not be the only correct option, but from the options which they feel is the best one, they should be picking out that. Okay, so when we are writing out the options, we should ensure that there is only one best answer. Then all alternatives should be reasonable ones. Okay, they should not be like suddenly in between the options you give some option which is completely irrelevant. Okay, now that should not be the case. The options should be similar to each other. Okay, so here I've given a question. Which of the following phenomena contribute significantly to the reddish color of the sun at sunrise or sunset. Okay, and I have given an option, the spherical shape of the earth. Now such an option is unreasonable. Okay, so the child will eliminate this option then and there, and then he will go in only for choosing an option from the remaining three. So that should not be the case over here. He should, all the options should be approximate, they should be reasonable ones. Then the alternatives should be stated clearly and concisely. Okay, so these are some of the rules that we should follow while creating the alternatives or the options. Now, the alternatives should be free from clues about the correct answer. Okay, we should not, that means it should not be automatically linked with the step. Okay, there should be, it should not be a continuation, an exact, as I told you, is, the word is, and you give an option where it is the singular is there. So children should ensure that they will be easily able to understand that is the correct option. So that is why alternatives should have grammar consistent with the stem. They should be similar in length, okay, and use similar language. Now, similar in length, sometimes our options are the correct option might be a one which is lengthy. Okay, so the child will automatically, if he doesn't know the answer, he's going to just give one answer whatever he feels. So he will think over there, why not give the one which has got more number of words? So he'll click on, he will bubble that option. So that should not be the case. Approximately all the alternatives should be similar in length. Again, when we are saying framing alternatives, care should be taken that we should not use the words all of the above or none of the above. Okay, as much as possible, avoid these two. Okay, all of the above, none of the above. You will tell me, yes, ma'am, we have seen these in the questions. I know. Many questions are there with such options. But as much as possible, we should be avoiding all of the above and none of the above in the alternatives. Now, when we are talking about MCQs, basically there are the types of MCQs that you will get will be this: the simple MCQ, the complex MCQ, then we have assertion reasoning, and the case-based studies. Okay, now the simple MCQs are the ones which are testing knowledge, just knowledge, nothing more than that. Okay, there will be one stem or question stem is there and 4 options. No, okay, mostly it is testing the lower levels of the Bloom's taxonomy, that is the remembering and the understanding. Okay, mostly, and a little bit more you can also have maybe applying type of questions also in the simple MCQ. Complex MCQ. Now, complex MCQs are sequencing based. Okay, there is multiple selection. Okay, so in this type of question, different items or statements are presented in different order, and the learner needs to identify correct order. Okay, so if you can, if you have thought about the practicals, I'm just connecting it with that. Okay, I told you why we should be doing the practicals. Okay, we should ensure that practicals are conducted for the students. Now, doing the practicals, the child will be able to know what the sequence of doing that particular experiment. Okay, so if a question comes, over there. How is he going to do? Maybe if he's going to find out the focal length using the distant object method. Okay, so what should he do first? Then second, what he should do. The third, what he should do. So he should be able to arrange that practicals in a particular order. And that is what we say is sequencing based MCQ. Okay, I just gave an example. Then we have multiple selections. Multiple selections, I just showed you one example before, where we have A or A and B, or it is B and C, or it is B and D. Okay, so those are multiple selection questions. Okay, and all these will come in complex MCQs. Of course, the level goes up a little higher in the Bloom's taxonomy. Okay, you have your analyzing, applying and analyzing based questions will be there in the complex MCQs. Then we have the assertion reasoning. Okay, assertion reasoning is application, evaluation, synthesis, all these together is there in the assertion reasoning. And the last one is the case-based. Okay, now case-based questions are testing cross-curricular linkages. And of course, it is a scenario-based. Okay, so we shall discuss a little bit more about case-based studies. Now, case-based studies is exactly what we have talked about the NEP 2020. We are trying to link what the child has learned in his academics to the real world. So anytime, every time a case-based question will come from maybe the newspaper, okay, or maybe from some other magazine, or it might be a scenario, okay, where a particular scenario is given and the child has to understand from that and he is going to answer the questions. Okay, so you can think about whatever, all those questions that, all those practical applications of whatever we have taught. Okay, and create a scenario. And from there, questions can be asked. So the child is going in for trying to a higher order thinking level questions, where he's applying what he learned to his to the real world. Now, here are some examples that we have. The first one, I just thought I'll give you some. Okay, the twinkling. This is right lower down in the Bloom's taxonomy. Okay, so we have the twinkling of stars is due to. Okay, now this is basically a remembering type of question. The child knows he studied what is twinkling of stars, and so he knows exactly what it is due to. Okay, so it is a remembering type of question. There is nothing great in it. He knows, he writes. Okay, and this was the sort of questions which was there earlier. Okay, earlier years our MCQs were mostly of the remembering or the understanding level. But now the scenario has changed. Now read this question. What happens when a ray of light enters air from a glass slab? Okay, so the child has learned. He's learned about optical density. He knows what is when a light ray goes from a rarer to a denser medium, the ray will bend towards the normal, and when it goes from a denser to a rarer medium, it bends away from the normal. Okay, so he knows these concepts. Now he's going to have a little bit more. It is not fully a remembering, but an understanding level. So the child is knowing, okay, he understands that glass is a denser medium, and the light is entering air from glass. So the ray will bend away from the normal. Okay. applying type of questions. Okay. Now here we have a mirror that is fitted in the wall of the Agra Fort. Okay. When you stand at a proper location, a full-size image of the Taj Mahal can be seen in this mirror. What kind of mirror is this? Okay. So here we have gone in for a little bit more. Okay. So now the child has to apply what he has learned, the characteristics of the image formed in the different type of mirrors, and he has got to apply it to get this answer.
Ma'am.
Okay. Yes.
Ma'am, excuse me, ma'am.
Yes. Yes.
Excuse me, ma'am. Please, can you
Yes, ma'am.
can you please check the last question, ma'am? The bending of ray from away from the normal.
Enters air
Ma'am,
from a glass plate.
Air. Ma'am, there the option D can also be correct, no, ma'am?
Speed of light increases. Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
So I think
Yes.
for that question we have B and D as the option, no, ma'am?
Yes. 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 You're very correct. Okay. That is also correct. Okay. It is entering.
Ma'am, if that
from
case,
a
then
glass.
which answer should the students mark?
In that case, the child, see here, we are actually meaning that the ray is entering from glass plate. So we are actually trying to say that it should be bending away from the normal. Okay, so it is the best option which should be there. The best option could be option B. Okay, though
Okay,
option
ma'am.
D
Okay,
is
ma'am.
also correct. Okay.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Okay.
Okay, so here, as we are saying, he has to learn. So now he is going to get a full-size image of the Taj Mahal. So what kind of mirror? Okay, so he needs an erect image and he needs a full image. Okay, so automatically, what type of mirror should he have? Should he have a plane mirror or should he have a convex mirror? Okay, so now from there, a plane mirror. So he should be applying what he learned to another situation. So there it will be automatically a convex mirror. So the convex mirror will give a full size image of the Taj Mahal. Okay. Now here we have a diagram based question. Okay. Again, this is a sort of application. The child has to look at these pictures and he has to identify what are these mirrors. Okay, these mirrors, the first one and the second one. Okay, what are the mirrors he has to identify? So he should be able, he should have tried it out himself. Then only he'll be able to know that otherwise we are just giving him theory. When an object is kept between P and F, you're getting a virtual image which is enlarged. Okay, but if he has tried it himself, if he has seen that when he keeps his hand very close to a concave mirror, he will get an enlarged image. Okay, and when he stands in front of a concave mirror, he'll get diminished images. So automatically, so many concepts are coming in at this point. So he's applying a lot of information, what he has learned, to the real world. Okay, and he will be able to get the answer that A is a concave mirror and B is a convex mirror. Okay. Now, the next question, analyzing. Okay, how will the image formed by a convex lens be affected if the central portion of the lens is blackened? Okay. Now here, we have taught the children. Okay, there are the rays should meet or appear to meet, then only an image will be formed. So now the child should be able to find out, will the ray, if it is not, the middle portion is blackened, will the ray pass through? It's not going to pass through. So will an image be formed? Okay, will a complete image be formed? Or will an image be formed which is half? Or will there be two images? Now this is what he has going to he has to analyze and think and going to answer. And here he should be, that is when we teach them that from every object there are so many numerous rays which are coming. And all these rays, that when they are coming from that object, they are the path of these rays we cannot determine after reflection or refraction, as the case may be. Okay, but only 3 rays we are talking about. But even then, we know that so many rays are there. And from those thousands of rays which are coming from an object, at least 2 will come and meet. And so you will get an image which is formed fully, but it will be less bright. Okay, so that will be the option over there. The image will be less bright. Okay, so I'll give you just a minute to read the question. Now, this is again a question which is partially based on your practicals. Okay, doing the practicals. So the child Raman has obtained a sharp image of a distant object. Okay, and they have said around nearly 600 meters away from the concave mirror of focal length 10 centimeter on a screen S. If the object moves towards the mirror by some distance, say 50 centimeter, then what should he do to obtain a sharp image on the screen again? Okay, so what should he do? He's got an image. Now we have moved the object towards the mirror. So what should he do? Okay, so here the screen should be moved towards the object. Okay, then only he will, again a sharp image will be formed on the screen. Okay, so teachers, I hope you are getting the types. We are just talking about the different levels of the Bloom's taxonomy and how we can frame a question based on that. Okay, our questions are not going to be direct questions, are not going to be only of the remembering or the understanding level, but we need a little bit more, where higher order thinking level questions, we are connecting them with real life. Such questions will be there. Now, this is again a question which requires a little bit thinking. Okay, so the light, correct path of ray of light passing from air to kerosene and from kerosene oil to water and out from that. Okay, now that is the which will be the correct option. Okay, is it, see, looking at it. So now see so many concepts coming here. About the optical density, the child should know. He should also know that whether kerosene is denser or water is denser. Okay, now all these are what comes into play when he is automatically looking at this question. So we are not giving the child lots to read. We are just giving a diagram and making him identify. So it is requiring some amount of thinking level. Okay, so thinking questions are, these are some sort of thinking questions which can be done better if the child has been given an actual practice. Okay, if he's actually made, now this is what I was saying, link your teaching with your with real life. So when we teach this particular part of refraction, why can't we have, instead of just going that glass lab is in the school, we are not able to do that practicals. But then we do have kerosene at home, we do have water at home. If we ask the child to immerse a pencil in a glass of water and note how does the pencil bend, okay, and if he immerses the same pencil in kerosene, will the bending be the same or will it bend differently, and what is the reason? Okay, now these are things which the child can sit at home and do. He doesn't have to spend money, but when we are teaching, the child is able to understand by doing. And that is exactly what some of y'all had told me is competency, where he is learning by doing. Now here we have the sequencing or the ordering type. Okay, now this is what I just gave the example before in the determination of focal length of the convex lens by obtaining a sharp image of a distant object. So the steps are given. Measures the distance between the lens and the screen, adjust the position of the lens to form a sharp image, selected a suitable distant object, hold the lens between the object and the screen with its face parallel to the screen. Okay, so to do this particular question, the child should know how to do that experiment. Okay, so whether you take a video and you show it to the children, or whether you bring them to the lab and show it to them, or make them do that experiment by themselves, any of these, only then the child will be able to understand, or it will remain in his mind what is the correct order of this particular question. Okay, so otherwise he will not, he has to learn that whole procedure. That should not be the case. He should be able to learn from what he has seen or what he has done, and that is a better option. Then we have also the multiple selection type of questions. Okay, so we have considered the following properties of virtual images. We are saying cannot be projected on a screen, are formed by concave and convex lenses, are always erect, are always inverted. The correct properties are, which will be the correct property. Okay, so from here we know that it cannot be projected on a screen and they are always erect. So A and C. Okay, A and C are the correct ones. Okay, I think there is a this thing over here. I think I have not given that option. Maybe some thing I've written over here concave and convex lenses. That should not be that. Okay, so there is a small, I think, some mistake in what I have done. Okay, so this will be the way in which the multiple selection type of questions will come. Okay, where the child has to understand, he knows the properties and he is picking out the correct properties and he is using it. Okay. Now, assertion reason questions. Now, assertion reason questions are questions. Now, these questions that I have done, I have just opened the textbook and taken a line from the textbook. Okay, and I have given a reason for that. So, the child should be familiar with the textbook. Every line of the textbook he should be familiar. And we should also make sure that assertion reason questions are directly from the text, but the automatically the reason the child should know. So the phenomenon of scattering of light by colloidal particles give rise to Tyndall effect. Okay, the color of the scattered light depends on the size of the scattering particles. So these type of questions will automatically help the child to analyze, evaluate, and think. Okay, I've just given a few more examples. Okay. Now we come to our last type of questions. These are the case study questions. Okay. Now case study questions, as we said, they are scenario based. We are taking a real life situation and giving it to them in the form of a paragraph and asking some questions based on it. Okay, so I have framed a question here. I've framed a scenario. You can just read it. And now you can tell me what type of questions can be framed based on this. Anyone can tell me what type of questions can we ask the child? We have said over here, the magician took the bowl filled with oil and another bowl he immersed in it and it disappeared from view. Okay, so what questions can be framed? What MCQ questions can be framed? You can put it in any level, either the lower level or the middle level or the higher level. Yes, teachers. You are thinking? Okay.
Name the phenomena that is shown in this by this magician. Name the phenomena of light that is represented by this.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Anything else?
Regarding the refractive indices of the oil and the glass. Can you? A question relating that it has to be equal.
Yes, the child should know that both the refractive indices will be the same, and that is why it is not visible.
Bending of light ray, that also we can ask as it is two medium.
Yes, can ask. Okay. So I've just, because I have put in some more this thing so you can see. So this is what you all said over here. So I just said compare the refractive index of oil and the glass petri dish for the above magic. Okay. So the child should know that both are the same, then only it will disappear. Okay. So this is one question. Then what you said about the speed of light. Okay. So what will happen to the speed of light in glass and oil? Then a question which is a little bit more. We have included the refractive index of glass is 3/2 and the refractive index for light going from glass to air. Okay, so we have just inserted a question which is a numerical question in this.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes.
I have just a clarification to be made. Is that case study passage, those 3-4 lines, just enough for the child to answer these questions? Because for answering these questions, that passage itself is, I felt, is it required there? Just my doubt, ma'am. Because is that data enough? That case study is enough to answer these questions? I mean, I felt like the child already knows about this without the case study passage itself.
Actually, see, most of these case study questions are questions which are, they are just trying to make the child relate that, okay, this is the reason why. Okay, so I took this case study question and I gave it, I tried it out in my class. So the children were a little, and they're quite good students, okay, and they were a little stuck over there thinking. So automatically it made them think. So that, okay, magic, like this kind of magic they might have seen. So that was the reason why. So it made them think over there. So for us, when we are thinking from the point of the teacher, from the point of the student, when we come down to their level, of course, it becomes a little bit more. Okay, so here we are just trying to bridge that gap. Okay, for us, it will be easy, but for the child, okay, he should be knowing why did that disappear. So that requires a little bit more amount of thinking. Okay, try it out in your classes. I'm sure the children will let's see what happens over there in your classes. Okay. Okay, so another case study. Ready? Now, can we get some questions? What type of questions can we give based
What type of glass is used by the teacher?
Yes, yes. What was that piece of glass used? Okay. What options can you give for that?
Plain mirror.
Plain mirror.
How the paper gets burnt? Concave mirror, convex mirror.
And we can ask
Yes.
whether it's a converging or diverging. That also we can.
The converging or diverging. Okay. Then what else?
We can ask them for the measure of the distance from the glass to the glass. How much it is? Whether to find the
Can
focal
be
length.
asked
Okay,
as
what is the answer of this lens we used here?
where should the
Someone
object
said?
be placed?
Yes. Where should the paper be placed so that it burns? Okay. Yes. Pardon? It is not clear. Okay. So, what you all thought, I'm also thinking in the same way over here. So we all think over here. See, now this is exactly what we said. What was the piece of glass used by the teacher? So it can be a concave lens, concave mirror, convex lens, convex mirror. And now I made it a little bit more, a multiple selection I made it. Okay, so it can be any of these. So which will it be? Is it a concave? So the answer will be a concave mirror and a convex lens. Okay, so this could be the piece of glass. Okay, of course, whether which side you place it, of course, you can have another thing over here, but still. Now see, at what point should the paper be placed to burn? At the focus, radius of curvature, principal axis, or the pole. And then a little bit higher order question. Okay, if the teacher had used a carbon paper instead of white paper, what would happen? Okay, so here, see now we went in. So some was a little easy and then we went in over there, carbon paper. What would happen? Will it, can we use white paper or is it better to use carbon paper? Will both burn at the same rate? The same rate it catch fire or something will be there? Okay, so this could be some ways of framing. I hope you are also getting an idea about how to get to create one study. Pardon?
milk of increasing order. Upper milk of magnesia, lemon juice.
I think I'm having some other noise in between. Okay. Now, here we have the blueprint of the question paper. Okay. So the blueprint of the question paper, we have the different domains. We have the section A, B, and C. In section A, we have knowledge and understanding. The total number of questions are 24. Number of questions to be attempted 20. And mark per question is 0.8. Okay, so we have the total marks in section A is 60. Section B is your application and your HOTS, and you have again 24. You have to do 20 and 16 marks. And section C is case study. Now here I'm talking about actually this whole science paper. It's not only physics. In case study questions, we have 12 questions, 3 case studies, each case study having 4 questions, and so a total of 12 questions, and the number of questions to be attempted is 10. Now, in the case study section C, you will have seen already that it is 1 question from, or 1 case study from physics, 1 from chemistry, and 1 from biology. Okay, so in effect, the child has to read through all the 3 case studies and answer 10 questions out of 12. Okay, so this is the blueprint of the question paper. Then the unit-wise typology and mark allotment. Okay. You can look at, I have highlighted the physics portion, and the physics portion you have, the chapters are 10 and 11. We have 7 questions plus 1. This plus is telling you the option. Okay, the choice question. So 8 questions are there total. They expect the child to do 7. Then in application section B, again 7 plus 1 questions are there, total 8. And in case study, 3 questions are there plus 1. That means you have to do 3 questions and 1 question will be an option. Okay. And so total marks that we have is 17 questions, and 3 marks are the options that we have. Okay. The total questions that we have, 50 questions the child has to answer. The marks will be, and 10 questions are optional questions. Marks for this total marks will be 40. Now,
That means,
yeah.
Madam,
Yeah. Yes, sir.
in case study, 4 questions from chemistry is compulsory.
4 questions, no, it will be all together. Okay. It will be all
But
together.
there it is written 4, 3
Yes,
plus 1,
yes.
3 plus 1.
But the sample paper had just, they have not said that chemistry is compulsory. Though, if you will have noticed, more number of questions are there from the chemistry part. Because they have got more, the portions are more. So more questions are there from chemistry, and that is why they have said it is 4 over there. But no case study is compulsory. All the 3 are the same. No case studies. Okay. Now,
Okay, thanks.
internal assessment, we have got 10 marks for each term. Okay. Each term we are supposed to be doing the internal assessment, and internal assessment consists of the components are given at the side. We have periodic test, we have multiple assessment, we have portfolio, and we have a student enrichment activity. Okay, now it has become student enrichment. Earlier it was subject enrichment. Now the CBSE has just slightly changed it and made it a student enrichment activity. So the periodic assessments, you can conduct it in any manner, but they should be pen and paper test. There should be 3 assessments in a year, and you can have in term 1, 2, and in term 1, term 1, you can have 2 periodic tests, and in term 2, you can have 1, or vice versa. Anyway, multiple assessments, you can do as many as you want. Okay, as many as you want can be done for multiple assessment. So the type of multiple assessments are short tests, oral test, quiz, concept maps, projects, posters, scientific investigations, etc. Okay, so these can be part of your multiple assessment. Okay, then portfolio is again 2 marks. Right now, the portfolio is an extension of the notebook. But it is going, what is the portfolio? It is going to measure the student's progress, effort, growth, and achievement. Okay, so we can, whatever the student, this is going to be created by the student, and it should be maintained by the student, and it can have whatever his best performances, they can include it in the portfolio. Okay, and how they are maintaining that portfolio, that marks we should be giving. Right now, we can also have, instead of having an actual file and keeping all these portfolio work over there, we can go in for a digital portfolio. Okay, so a digital portfolio gives, because nowadays children are more tech savvy than we teachers. Okay, I'm sure the last 1 year was quite horrible for all of y'all, but this year is much better. So I agree that all of y'all will be, you will agree with me in what I just said over here. But for children, technology comes naturally for them. And so ask them to create a digital portfolio. Okay, children will enjoy that, and ask them to, whatever they have, their answer papers, the small, the tiny projects that we give them, the presentations that we ask them to create. Okay, anything, all these can be included in the portfolio. Okay, and that will be something that is for 2 marks for this term. The student enrichment activity is, of course, the practical, the laboratory work. And as we have said, as I've been keeping on saying, this should be continuous. Okay, the child should be made to do these activities, and it should be mainly in sync with the theory. That means when we are talking about focal length of concave mirror, we should be showing them how to do that practicals. So both of these should be in sync. Then only it will be a student enrichment activity. Records should be maintained, and all the practicals in the first term should be completed in the first term itself. Okay, so this total is 3 plus 2 plus 2 plus 3. That is a total 10 marks for first term. For each term, it is 10 marks. So, and the child should be made to do all these work. Now, something which maybe you should know is that the CBSE has instructed the schools to create a digital profile for each student. Okay, that can be created in any way. If you have a Google Classroom, that is enough. And make sure that all their answer papers and whatever work they have done is stored in the digital format. Okay. Then the schools should create the student profile for each assessment undertaken over the year and retain the evidences in digital format. marks of internal assessment must be uploaded in the CBSE portal. Sorry. The moment the first term gets over, you will also be made to enter the internal assessment marks for the first term. Okay, so be sure that you are ready with all these evidences should be there in the digital format. Okay, so that is what we are talking about, internal assessment. Any doubt is there in this? Okay, fine. Okay, I've just something so that you can tell me. Read the questions. This is basically giving you maximum exposure to questions and then telling me over here what type of question is this. The first one. In which category of MCQ does this come in?
Understanding.
Understanding. Okay.
Understanding question.
So, just an understanding type of question. This is a question which is taken from the sample paper itself. Okay. Okay. The next one. The last option is, pardon? I'm asking which type of, which level of the Bloom's taxonomy will you put this question? Or is it a simple MCQ? Is it a complex MCQ? Or which level is it? Which level of the
Experimental based, application
Application is
Yes, it's an application based question. Okay, so the child should know how to measure the focal length. So from there, how much he should measure. So where is the focal length going to come? Okay, so how are the image going to come, which side and how it is. Okay, so that is an application based question. Okay, fine. I've got one more Slido for you. You can, the same link, the same thing. Can you tell me what you have learned in this session? Kindly join with that same one. And you can let me know what you have learned in this. The whole session, what did you learn? Yes. Yes. Okay. New scheme and method of preparing question paper. Okay. Thank you very much. What about the others? What do you all think? What do you think when you think about this 1.5 hours that we have spent? What comes? Okay, term one. Okay, assessment, MCQ, question paper preparation. Okay, okay. What else? Anything which comes into your mind. This is like when we are in the class. Yes.
Ma'am, after the session, what I felt personally was that now we have to look into all areas, even based upon, looking just a very small piece of content, it should status.
Yes, yes. Actually, I was also like, when you think about all these, you think about, okay, how can we relate it? When you teach, you are teaching them, but now you have to relate everything.
To the all.
Okay. Ma'am, your voice is breaking.
Ma'am,
Yeah.
ma'am, can I ask you a doubt, ma'am?
Yes.
Ma'am, you have said that the assessments should be recorded digitally.
Yes.
Ma'am, can you please explain what do you mean by that? Means we have to create a worksheet for that?
No. You can just have, if your school is using a Google Classroom, that is enough. Okay. Because
So is the smart class enough, ma'am?
you are talking about a Google Meet? No.
Yes,
If
ma'am.
you are talking about a Google Classroom, yes.
Okay, so in that we have to record all the marks and other
Yes.
assessment values? Okay,
See,
ma'am.
I will tell you, in our school, what we do is, we have conducted two periodic tests, and we ask the children, once they finish writing the paper, they are going to take a photo and upload the paper in the Google Classroom. Okay, so actually
Okay,
all
ma'am.
the papers are there in the Google Classroom. My question paper is there, and their answer sheets. Okay, and once I finish assessing the paper, we enter the marks in that and return the marks to them. So their marks are also available.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay,
Okay,
so
ma'am.
then
Okay.
activities, I can give them any activity. All these activities I can give them, like portfolios. The e-portfolio is also a digital evidence.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Okay.
So what I have done in my school, I am telling you.
Ma'am, so I think the question paper given through Google form will also an evidence for
Yes.
e-portfolio, right?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
ma'am. Okay. Okay, ma'am. Okay, thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you for the class, ma'am.
Yeah. I have asked my children to create, like the first, for their e-portfolio, I have asked my students to create a video, a small scientific investigation at home. So I asked them to find out, I just started with the topic of refraction. Then I told them, take any liquids, 3 or 4 liquids, and in the same type of glasses, and insert a pencil and tell me whether the bending is same for all, and what is the reason, also the why also. Okay, so they did that experiment at home and they made a video. Okay, so that video, they put it in their e-portfolio, and so that becomes evidence. That's a scientific inquiry based evidence. Okay, again, I've also done another one wherein I was teaching them. Actually, I took the electricity
ma'am. Okay,
chapter,
ma'am.
I finished,
Okay, ma'am.
and when I was
Okay, ma'am.
taking them, so I told them about whether when light bulbs are connected in series or parallel, in which one will it burn more. So they created a simple circuit by connecting 2 bulbs in series and the same 2 bulbs in parallel. And then they were able to tell me exactly. So that was again a video. So all these are digital evidences. Okay. So this is,
Okay, ma'am.
yeah.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. So thank you for
Okay, ma'am.
all this. I think though only 9 responded, but I take it that this is approximately what everyone has to say. So I finish. Let me stop my sharing. Now, anyone has got any?
Yeah. Thank you, Sridhar ma'am. Thank you very much for presenting everything in detail and making it clear for the participants, for the teachers. And teachers also responded very well. If you have any question, you can ask that directly. If you have any other comments to make on this, if you have an additional learning, that can also be presented. See,
Sir,
when we
excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
Regarding the OMR sheet that we got from Kochi Sahodhi, which was posted in the Kerala Principals Group, there are 5 bubbles, 4 for the options and 1 bubble extra. What should the children do in that bubble? Only for the wrong answers which they have done, that should be written, or for everything they have to write the right option in that?
No, that is for, as per the information that we received, it is only for those who make the mistakes, right? Hope that we would get more clarity in this regard when the examinations are near.
Actually, I got this question from the students only. When I told them about that, they asked me whether for all the questions should we write the option. Or when I told them it was only for the wrong ones, they asked me this question also.
If they make a mistake, normally that would happen, right? While darkening the bubbles, there may be some mistakes. So for those cases only, that is done. And this is not a machine. Actually, this will be evaluated by the human being, right? It's manual evaluation. So maybe for that purpose. Anyway, let's wait for more information in this regard. As of now, what I have understood, and maybe that is the same you might have already analyzed, interpreted, right? It is for those who make the mistakes. In case if there is a mistake, instead of cutting and closing it, that can be written there. That is why it is the additional one, right?
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. I hope you have all marked the attendance. Mark your attendance so that you will be eligible for the certificate. You will get the e-certificate, but don't ask for the certificate. It will take time. All these certificates are supposed to be made by hand. A person has to enter all these things. Our academic team is working on that. So that will be mailed to you once it is ready. Those who submit the attendance will be eligible for the certificate. Certificate will be mailed to the same email ID that you register. Thank you. If anybody has any question, you can ask.
Sir, we should mark the attendance, sir?
Yeah, there is a link in the chat box. Father, you can find this link. I'll copy the link once again and paste it here. This is the link. Now we can find it in the chat box.
Okay, thank you all. Let us conclude our session with a official vote of thanks.
Yeah, before going for the official vote of thanks, actually, I would like to propose my own on Confederation's gratefulness to Sheila ma'am.
My name is Chitra, sir.
Yeah. Sheila ma'am, thank you very much for being the resource person here and making it possible. And Chitra ma'am, thank you very much for hosting the session, because your principal is away from the station, right? It is out of station. So
yes, sir.
On behalf of Mr. Ashraf, one of our members in the academic wing of Confederation, she hosted the program. Thank you very much for hosting it. And thank you, participants. You may please proceed with the official vote of thanks. Thank you.
Okay. Honorable Resource Person Sheila ma'am and respected Jojipur sir and all the participants, very good afternoon to you all. I would like to thank you, Ashok sir, for giving a chance to propose vote of thanks in this auspicious occasion. And also, I would like to thank our Jojipur sir for being with us today. And on the behalf of Confederation of Kerala Sahodaya Complexes, I would like to thank you, Sheila ma'am, for your inspiring and wonderful session. And also, I thank all the participants from the bottom of my heart for your invaluable cooperation and active participation. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.